Okay, we're going to try this a third time. Just for the record, it says my high-speed internet is on. There should be no human reason why you can't hear me or see me. So let's take it from the top. Vanakkam, Namaste, and blessings to everyone. This is Dr. Bhairavi Balasubramanian, PhD, the Sky Priestess. And today we are going to be talking about what it means to have Saturn in Aquarius, and how best can someone with Saturn in Aquarius prepare for their upcoming Saturn return. Yes, of course I know that we are having, we still got Saturn in Capricorn, we still got a few more months of that. But what I have been seeing the past couple of days in terms of people talking to me, clients talking to me, there's a lot of people with Saturn in Aquarius who feel a lot of anxiety about what their upcoming Saturn return is going to mean for them. And I end up having to say the same things again and again and again, which is why I figured, there may be more people who want to hear what I have to say on this. So people with Saturn in Aquarius, basically those born in the first few years of the 60s, the 90s, and the 2020s. So these particular generations are ones who tend to be very unusually focused on the path of raising consciousness, of developing technology, of developing community, of trying to find a way for each individual to shine so that they can be a productive member of whatever society they are in. Now, that's not to say that other generations don't matter or that other generations aren't contributing to that. No, because everyone lives through these phases as well. Those who are alive at the time, obviously. So it's not just limited to them, but people who natally have Saturn in Aquarius tend to have those very, very strong drives. So, especially with the 91 to 93 generation, I keep seeing young people who haven't had their Saturn return yet, and they're super focused. They're super intense. They really, sincerely, from the bottom of their heart, want to help, and they don't know how to help. And they put an inordinate amount of pressure on themselves to lift the energy for everyone else. And I'm sure the 1960s Saturn in Aquariuses are going through something similar. There's so much that has changed for them, so much generational change, so much generational transformation, that they too are also looking for ways to be of assistance in this time. Now, herein lies the rub, especially for the 1990s Saturn in Aquarius kids, specifically 91 to 93. They tend to be individuals who are just taking on too much, very intellectualized, very technologically savvy, down with all of the right concepts, political correctness, cultural wokeness, all of that stuff is there. But what seems to be missing is a key component of the spiritual path, which is compassion. Now, hang on, it doesn't mean to say that they're not compassionate. They're very compassionate. But what they tend to lack is compassion for themselves. That Saturn in Aquarius placement has a tendency to want to put everyone else above its own personal needs. That is in a more altruistic vein. Sometimes people with Saturn in Aquarius are absolute blockheads. They may be fantastic at technology, but they may believe that their way is the only right way to do something and then just do it in the name of the greater good without actually thinking about the collective. So, it's not to romanticize or pedestalize anybody. But the 90s kids who do have Saturn in Aquarius, they seem to be experiencing that problem in a different way. And it's almost like a type. When I get a 91, 92, 93 client, it's almost always the same thing. Extreme level of compassion for the suffering of the world, almost zero compassion for self. And that's not balanced. So in these times when Saturn is really, really, really strongly headed towards the tail end of its retrograde in Capricorn, they're feeling the pressure immensely. That idea of, did I do enough work? Am I ready enough? Am I mature enough? Will I be able to handle the responsibility? That keeps coming back to them. And this is what I tell everybody, because if someone had told me this, I would have probably disregarded it before my Saturn return. But this is normally what I tell them, and they take it in the nicest way possible. Everyone up to the first point of their Saturn return is an idiot, myself included. Compared to what I knew after my first Saturn return, as compared to what I thought I knew before, was just absolutely no connection to each other. And I mean that in a nice way. If I was ruler and controller of the planet, I would probably put the voting age at 30 after the first Saturn return finished or happened. Because it's really when you get to know yourself, whether it's neurobiologically, as the brain is constantly rewiring itself, or whether it's in terms of astrology, that's really when we come face to face, eye to eye, with the karmic contracts that we, whether or not agreed or were roped into fulfilling as part of this incarnation. And that's really when we have to face ourselves. So don't worry. If you haven't gone through a Saturn return yet, you are fine. You are exactly where you need to be. You don't need to put extra pressure on yourself. Chances are you've probably over-prepared. So in terms of the question of, well, what does one then do until Saturn return hits and brings up all of those challenges and all of those opportunities of growth? It is to actually look at the areas that have not been focused on as much. Aquarius is a very mental energy. It is electric. It is able to make breakthroughs and leaps in understanding and, just visionary intelligence. But it tends to overlook itself, which can be a good thing in a certain way. But when you're on the spiritual path, that lack of self-awareness and that lack of self-healing will turn around to bite you in the ass at some point or another, no matter how altruistic your intentions are. Phrased differently, a lot of what I see with the Saturn in Aquarius generation is that they tend to ignore the lessons of their opposite, which is Leo. So Aquarius is a very adult energy. It's a very mature energy. It's not going to be wearing its heart on its sleeve, typically speaking. Again, it depends on each chart. These are large generalizations. But what it tends to forget and what it tends to overlook is, unless you process your own personal story, your own narrative, your own emotion, you will not have that unique organic perspective to then go out and shine that light onto somebody else. And this is where, and this also brings me on to another topic, which is the way, spirituality is getting increasingly compartmentalized, which I don't like. I don't like calling it personal work. I don't like calling it breath work. I don't like calling it shadow work. I don't like calling it dream work, because really it's not work. When we look at cultures that we tend to, look back and go, those were the golden days, spirituality was not something that was necessarily outside of life. It was wedded into the everyday. Magic was wedded into the everyday. Only when of course, there were the exceptions of, the head shaman or shamanka. They had a very specific path to follow, but not everybody is on the shamanistic path. That's a very specialized function. But in a generic sense, the idea of being able to connect with that realm was not something that was outside of ourselves. It's not something that we could or had to only do in a specific way, at a specific time, in a specific following or whatever. It was just organic. It was just part of life. So when we try to differentiate it as, this is my spiritual life, or this is what I do for my spirituality, we're still falling into that dichotomy. We're still falling into that dichotomy that there's some spiritual stuff and then there's not spiritual stuff. Everything is spirit. Material manifestation is an aspect of spirit, because spirit is beyond matter. Matter is simply a reflection of one version of it. So when we look at life and spirituality from that perspective, there isn't a specific skill set. There's a specific skill set for a particular role and a particular modality. Yes, that's true. But when you're looking at developing a relationship with spirituality, it is literally developing the deepest possible relationship you can with life on this planet, because that is the spirit that is around you all of the time. So really, for those of you who want to think about what you can bring for the collective, it's not about learning some tool or technique that's going to save the planet. It is literally about recognizing that movement of energy all around you. And I can tell you from experience, from observation, from having been blessed to actually see people whom I consider master facilitators, in my opinion, and they are the most humble, down to earth people you can find. Their life is a walk in spirit. They could be sitting having a cup of tea, and believe me, that would be a spiritual experience. So you don't need to put it in that little box that you then have to kind of tick off to say, are you ready? Most most people I have seen with Saturn in Aquarius tend to woefully neglect their personal human and emotional needs. And that tends to come back to inner child work. They're so focused on the seriousness of it that they forget to play. They forget to have joy. They forget to create. And even when they create, it's this agonizing intellectual process. I was talking to someone today about this very topic. And like I said, I've had to say the same thing a few times now. So I figured might as well do a video on it. And hopefully it helps. But, if you were to look at a child, whether it's two-legged or four-legged, and you just look at the way in which they are absorbed in every single activity of their day, whether it's drawing, whether it's running around, whether it's pooping, that kind of 100% level focus and commitment is, frankly, is the most spiritual thing I ever seen. So, then they don't judge what they're doing. They're not sitting there looking and thinking, is this piece of art my greatest work yet? Shall I frame this? What shall others think about it? No, they're done. And then they move to something else. When we come back to that childlike state, childlike is one thing, childish is another thing. When we come back to that childlike state, we are in flow with that organic energy of creation. To me, if you were to ask me, that is the most powerful facilitation anyone can do. When they can strip you away of everything you think you are and everything you think you know and bring you back to that state, that's when you know you got it. But to find it and to help others see that, you have to first be able to find that in yourself. And even the way people talk about the processing of trauma and inner child narratives, I know that has helped people immensely because there was no vocabulary, there was no language to experience all of this. And when you don't even have a concept, it's very hard to heal from it. But when we are talking about the transmutation of energy with an energy like Aquarius, it is also about recognizing that concept and realizing that is all that it is. And in that instant, when you are willing to go beyond that narrative, that is when energy transforms. But if you hold on to the same script and you hold on to the same tool and you hold on to the same narrative, you're going to get stuck. I tell you one thing, and I know some of you wonder why I always make popular culture references, but it's amazing. I remember one woman when I was still on Facebook land, she was so angry with me that I wouldn't do a reading for her for free. And I remember she called me, what the heck was it? That's it, an overgrown child who likes comic books. And I said, honey, that is the biggest compliment you could ever give me. Because that's what we all need to be at the end of the day. We need to remind ourselves of what inspires us, what moves us. That's why mythology works. That's why, certain things on TV or popular culture can really just strike and hit that nerve. For me, what's actually helping me process some things from my own past right now is watching Cobra Kai on Netflix. That's, for those of you who don't know what that is, that's basically like a series that was created on the basis of the original Karate Kid movies. Cobra Kai is the dojo that he defeats in the first film. And it's incredible. It's the story of someone who's trying to find their path in the world through extreme hardship and karmic cycles that keep repeating. It is phenomenal. So if you feel stuck, go and look at culture, go and look at art, go and look at things that are emerging in this time and in this space and look at how you relate to it and connect to it. It's not about this vertical process of transcendence, and aha, you find a great answer. It's about coming back to the here and now. So, and you know what I'm like. I'm not going to pedestalize anything. And I'm not going to tell you that there is this epic, great, beyond thing that you need to go. I'm going to say, look at the things that move you. Whether it's a movie, whether it's a comic book, whether it's manga, anime, whatever. Look at what moves you and understand why. That's honestly what I would suggest for people with Saturn in Aquarius right now. It's not about work. It's about being, and it's about understanding your being. So when you can look at life in that way, in that perspective, whether or not you want to use the label of spirit work, that is being in spirit. Be a person first before you want to become some kind of spiritual facilitator. That's more important. Because I can tell you, in my, most difficult moments, and believe you me, I've had many, it's just been people being people that have really lifted me from those moments. Or randomly seeing a little baby who might know something's up and decides to go and give you an extra large smile. That's the beauty of humanity. You don't need to be some great, elevated, refined, spiritual whatnot to do that. Just own what you got. So that would be my honest message to the Saturn in Aquarius is keep it simple, keep it real, keep it human. More than enough. Absolutely more than enough. So now, having said all of that, let's look at the comments and let's just greet everyone who's here. I like doing that because, that affirms our sense of community. But in terms of the topic, I'm just about done. So let's see. Hello, Osset. Hello, Velvet's World. Hello, Vale Empath. Hello, Simajip. Hello, Soele. Hello, Mihi Ve. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Hello, Dreamwise. Hey, fam. Hello, Anna Morales. Hello, Ebony Joy. Oh, okay. I think I know which Osset this is. Hello again. Hello, Jane Lane. Hello, N Black, the fam. Hello, Lantern Hill Morgans and Pirate Cat. Hello, Denise Higgins. Hello, Candy. Hello, Matt Titan. Hello, Roses and Bees. Hello, Kavya Bardwaj. I hope you're doing well. Hello, Sunshine. Hello, Margaret Holford. Hello, Magneto Onyx. Hello, Priya Prabhakaran. Hello, Arabian Princess. Hello again, VB. Hello, Addiston. Nice to see all of you here. Hello, Sisu. Hello, Denise. Well, I am glad the message hit home. I just kept seeing it so many times. I just realized, you know what, say something. Someone's going to need to hear it anyway. Don't try too hard. If you're trying to be more than you are, then you're not valuing what you are. All right? Oh, and hello, Batwoman of Gotham. Also a client whom I respect very much. In any case, I send all of you love. I send all of you many blessings. And please do check out Cobra Kai on Netflix. It's pretty badass. It's got that whole thing about the way of martial arts, one way being the hard way and the other way being the way of balance, and how two humans try to figure out what that means. Also very Shakespearean. So yeah, keep it simple, keep it cool, enjoy. And just closing in, hello, Kara. And yes, most welcome to all of you. Ciao, ciao for now. Bye-bye.